Hey, all my fantasy football friends. Welcome to the Multiple First Dynasty Football channel here on draft night, Thursday, April 28th. The first round just finished up, and me and Greg are here to put something together, our thoughts, our opinions, all the takeaways from the first day of the NFL draft. How you feeling today, Mr. Greg?
We're here. Finally. I'm so pumped. Let's go then. Let's talk about these picks. Let's talk about these trades. Let's talk about what didn't happen. Let's talk about everything. Let's get to it, Tony.
Yeah, man, we made it. We made it. We made it through all this time of the offseason. We're finally here. All of your rookie drafts and all your leagues are right around the corner. You can do startups now with much more information. Just we got over the hump. But
Oh boy.
yeah, first big move of the day. AJ Brown, probably the biggest move beyond any of the picks made. AJ
I
Brown was
agree.
traded, from the Tennessee Titans to the Philadelphia Eagles. He was moved for the number 18 pick and a late third round pick. It's like the 108th overall. And AJ received a new contract on his way through the door in Philly, 4 years, $100 million, and that is 57 million guaranteed from the Eagles to AJ Brown. So where you at on AJ now?
I have this as mildly positive for AJ Brown, right?
Mm-hmm.
So um I, it is not a great landing spot for a wide receiver. It was the landing spot I was afraid of for the rookie wide receivers.
Yeah, right. Interesting.
But Tennessee's not a good place either. So I think it's at worst lateral, as at best a little bit better in terms of a volume passing offense. Maybe he's got a young and developing quarterback. I don't think Hurts is going to be worse than Tannehill for him. But like one of the things that is really good about this for AJ Brown, I think like his value goes up slightly, is because I think his floor comes up because he's now in a place where he's wanted, where he's going to be for 3-4 years. Um, we don't have eminent holdout coming, right? So that's good for his value. So if I'm an AJ Brown owner, and I am, yeah, not over the moon about it, but yeah, it's no problem for me. Mildly positive is how I would put it.
Yeah, I think that's probably you're in the minority there, in my opinion. I think most people are going to see this as a negative for him, as a downgrade at quarterback, going to a more contested, targeted, area. But my rebuttal to that would be, first of all, AJ Brown was very competitive on low volume. I mean, he finished as the wide receiver 12 in 2020. He only caught 70 passes doing that. That's kind of the essence of AJ. Is he only needs to catch 2 or 3 balls in a game, and he can have a massive impact on your fantasy matchup. Um, I see this as a little tick down for AJ. Not not big, not mega. I think the community as a whole is going to overcompensate and bump him down heavily, and I'd be looking to pick him up at value. At value. I think the same is true for Devonta Smith. I think the community will overly kick Smith down. Right now we see him as like a middle sixth round pick, maybe even a late fifth round pick. And if I can get Devonta Smith in like the seventh round now of a startup, I'm probably going to eat that up. And you have to love this for Jalen Hurts, right? I mean, this is
Love it.
just great for him. Uh, yeah. Um,
Fantastic work for them. Although, of course, they still have the 2 first round picks next year, which they went out of their way to turn 3 first rounders this year into 2 this year and 2 next year, right? So, he's still on that leash. Don't forget about that. But yes, this gives him a better chance to have a good year and save his job. This gives him a better chance to win enough games that they can't draft his replacement. So yeah, definitely good for Jalen Hurts, both in terms of his security and his performance this year. I think, right? Yeah, I think this is fine for AJ Brown. I mean, like he's everything you said about Philly is true, but he's getting away from King Henry, right? Like Tennessee was
sure.
one of
Yeah.
the worst places. There are maybe 6 places ish that I think are a worse place for a wide receiver than Philadelphia, and Tennessee is one of them for me. Yeah.
It's generally
Um,
changing team is just bad. I mean, it's a known fact. When you change teams, it's not great for you. I mean, maybe it becomes great for you, but so rarely do we see that Stephon Diggs type maneuver where they go to the new team and have the best year of their career. That just doesn't happen that often. I mean, I think AJ Brown has a lot of great days ahead of him. Just might take some time to get to him. I don't know.
I mean, look at AJ Brown's actual finishes the last couple of years. I think he's gonna. I mean, he actually hasn't been great. Like he hasn't been on the field enough to be
Yeah,
great. So yeah, I mean, if he stays healthy, it's the same thing as it was before. He stays healthy, he's gonna have an excellent season.
yeah,
You're
and
gonna be very happy with it.
I agree, and
If
that's
people are
pretty much
fading him,
regardless.
I'm
Yeah.
buying him.
Sorry, yeah, pretty much regardless of a quarterback. If he's healthy and on the field, like as long as he's got an NFL starting QB throwing him moderately catchable balls, AJ Brown should eat and dominate people. I don't know. Yeah, but big thing from the AJ Brown deal for me was like, how did the Eagles get away with getting him? Like the Chiefs and Packers have big needs, and I'm amazed he was able to sneak by and not have one of those teams swoop in there and pick him up. But I think it all has to do with that contract, right? So
It, everything is the contract. Do
yeah,
you want to pay um, a big pick and then a second middle pick and then pay the guy, the premium free agent prices, right?
yep.
Like, and I get why people don't. The big free agents never make it to free agency, though, is part of the problem because they all get franchise tagged. So some teams are out there saying we're going to pay our quarterbacks and we're going to draft these wide receivers. The Titans obviously did that. They said we're not going to pay you $25 million a year. We'll just trade you for Treylon Burks and a third round pick, and let Treylon Burks do that for $2 million a year, and then we'll spend $20 million a year on like trench guys and hope that Treylon Burks is less than $20 million a year worse than you, right?
Yeah, this is Tennessee trying to do what the Vikings did with moving Diggs and getting Jefferson. They're trying to
Yes.
get someone cheaper, pick up a bunch of picks, and not lose a step in production. Like they're attempting that, and whatever Burks becomes, will decide whether it was successful or failure maneuver. Um, yeah, so another big name
Yep.
receiver was traded. Hollywood Brown moved from the Ravens to the Cardinals. The Cardinals immediately picked up his fifth-year option, and yeah, I personally, I think this has to be good for Hollywood Brown in terms of volume. He's definitely going to see the highest volume of his career with Kyler throwing him the ball, and we'll
For
just
sure.
we'll project this with Kyler as a starter for my own sake. um,
Yeah, I mean, we can have the conversation again down the road
yeah,
about Kyler holding out and all of that, and maybe even at the end of this episode, we should, or this show. But like if Kyler is there, this is Hollywood Brown going to an offense that will throw the ball on a higher percentage of its snaps and also play at a higher tempo and
yes,
have more snaps.
that pace of play is going to be great for him. Yeah,
Yeah. And it's a reunion with Kyler Murray, who he played with in college. So this is wonderful news for Hollywood Brown. I've never been a huge Hollywood Brown guy. I'm not going to be a huge Hollywood Brown guy after this.
mm-hmm.
But it's a tick up for me. I like this. And it's got that Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow reunion thing where exactly what you said about quarterbacks or about receivers changing teams, it's usually bad. Maybe you get away from that if you're going to a place where you've played with the quarterback before. Just,
This move more so than the other move seems like the receiver could change teams and not miss a step. I have Hollywood's numbers up here on the screen. He 145 targets last year, 91 catches, 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns. He could easily repeat that stat line or go above it. He could get 160 targets. He could have much more catchable balls thrown his way. He could look at more touchdowns. I mean, you have DeAndre Hopkins on the other side. That means Hollywood's got to be looking at single coverage, right? I mean, more so than he saw in Baltimore, I would imagine.
Absolutely, and just how multiple they go, and they're willing to manufacture touches with like screens and reverses, and I just think there is a lot to like about this. And they'll go to play more 4 wide than any other team, and then they'll put 3 on one side and 1 out there on the other side isolated, and they're going to get him some 1-on-1s down the field. I think it's again, if Murray plays, I think this could be excellent for Hollywood.
Yeah,
it's a disaster for Rondale Moore.
Yeah.
This is a vote of no confidence. I can't take it any other way.
With that and the AJ Green re-sign, I mean, both of those things. It's hard to imagine they have big hopes for Rondale. But on the Ravens side, so just apples to apples comparison, I think. Who would you rather have on your dynasty team right now, Rashad Bateman or Marquise Brown?
Bateman, I think this move is great for Bateman and Hollywood. There wasn't enough volume in that Ravens offense for both of them, really.
I agree, it's good for both of them, but who would you rather have between the two of them? Is it Bateman?
I guess I'll take Bateman because I think there's more ceiling, but it's real close.
Yep,
it's real close. It was real close between them before for me, honestly.
Yeah, yes. I saw them going in the same round a few times.
Yes, and it is still real close. But I think I have Bateman a touch ahead, right? He's the clear one for his team. He's got a great quarterback. It's not a high volume offense, but he's going to be the number 1 there. Obviously, Andrews is the number 2, or is the number 1. So he's really the number 2, but he's going to get some really volume, and this opens up a starting spot for somebody they picked later in this draft, or for a guy like Devin Duvernay. I think run to your waiver wires right now. Right, if you've got waivers running an hour after you hear my voice, and you've got 3 complete pieces of trash at the back of your waiver wire, go see if Devin Duvernay is there. Right, I don't know. Maybe he's a starter.
Yeah, he was a Pro Bowl kick returner or punt returner. Devin
Pro
Duvernay
Bowl
past
return
year.
Man.
Yeah, you'd love that to see that.
3rd round draft capital going into year 3.
Very productive in college, Duvernay.
Why not? Yeah. Right? I mean, and if he's on your waiver wire and you go put that in, what's the worst that happens? Is they draft someone tomorrow and then you just cut him and it's fine. So I go have a look at that one. I also think, by the way, we talked about Rondale. This is not great news for Zach Ertz.
Yeah,
not terrible news, but I think it's not great news. I think it's okay-ish for Nuke, but it's a little negative for Zach Ertz. I think he was a guy who I had an eye on for a sneaky, top 6 or 7 season if they didn't do better than Rondale Moore as that wide receiver too. And so, well, they now have. So
this is a good breakdown. Right. Yep.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to these picks. These many wide receivers that were selected today, and then the 1 quarterback. And in fact, if we go in order, we just go through all the wide receivers and then the quarterback.
Yeah.
So
what's that say about the quarterback, right?
There you go. All right. So our first selection here was Drake London. Went to Atlanta at 108. What are your thoughts about Drake here?
I think this you gotta love this. This is a landing spot. It's just because volume, opportunity is plentiful. Mariota's throwing him the ball. You can feel whatever way you do about that, but it's either Mariota or someone better quickly. I really like the way London and Pitts can play off each other as both big, giant humans out there who can do anything on a football field. I think that's good from building a football team standpoint. That's good. Atlanta, I think, still has a plus offensive line. Is that true? Do you know? I don't know.
I have to look. No, I don't recall.
Yeah, but
Atlanta's offensive line quality.
They were good a few years ago. I think it's probably fallen down a bit.
Sure, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, they've had all kinds of cap problems. I know they've made some cuts. So my guess is not, because they've kind of hit the rocks. But
yeah.
So to me, I love the draft capital. He was a player who I was worried about the draft capital. I know we talked the other day. Like, I like him going 8th to a terrible team more than I would have liked him falling to 28th and going to the Packers. And I know you like, but he'd be attached to Aaron Rodgers. But it's like there were questions about this guy, and Atlanta said, nope, this is a top 10 player. I think there were other people in, other teams that were sniffing around him at the similar range. So I think the questions about him being overly reliant on the contested catch are perhaps mitigated by how high he was drafted. And what that says about the scouting. I'm happy to draft him as probably my wide receiver 2 at the moment. I do think it's actually a weird fit. I don't love the pairing with Pitts. Yeah. I would have much preferred the small, fast guy like Garrett Wilson here, and then the big monster guy to go to the Jets in 2 spots to pair with Elijah Moore, rather than pairing the 2 big fellas who don't stretch the field here, and then the 2 smaller, quicker guys in New York, right? I was kind of hoping those 2, if they both went wide receiver, would go flipped. So I don't know if Drake London and Pitts are a great pairing. It's a weird mismatch where nobody goes downfield for me.
Yeah, this is good. That's the key points on it. We'll move on to the second receiver taken off the board. Garrett Wilson, Ohio State boy, goes at the 110 spot to the Jets. Jets have been penciled in some type of receiver in the spot for quite a while now, and they did follow through with that. I think this is my wide receiver 1, him or London. I'm not locked in yet on this one way or the other. Gonna let it simmer a little. Don't have to make that decision in my leagues for a few days.
Exactly.
Yeah. But definitely, I think Garrett Wilson should see some good volume. I think the Jets want to be a pass first offense as opposed to a run first. This means good things for Wilson. He's gonna get peppered with targets.
Perhaps we need to use first names. This means good things for Garrett Wilson.
Yeah. Yeah. It means good things for Zach Wilson too, though. Also, right?
Right. It also means good things for Zach Wilson. Which one we're talking about? So he is going to get peppered with targets. Absolutely, this is going to be a pass first offense, like you said. This is a good landing spot for him. I think. I know some people are going to be down on the Jets in general. I like what they're building, man. They got the Elijah Moore looks like a big hit. Corey Davis is coming back from injury. By the way, I think Corey Davis is an interesting trade candidate now. I really think.
Yeah. It's hard with that contract.
You bonus it out. You're the Jets. You just turn $13 million salary into a $10 million bonus and a $3 million salary. And now somebody can trade.
Yeah.
But you eat it and move him with a cheap salary for a better pick. That makes too much sense to me for a rebuilding team. But I do like what the Jets are building, and Garrett Wilson should be the number 1 receiver there. This is fantastic for Zach Wilson and all your Zach Wilson shares in Superflex. I don't think this is terrible for Elijah Moore. It probably caps his ceiling, but I don't think it really hurts his floor. There's going to be a lot of volume in this offense. They're going to throw the ball a lot.
Yep.
They've had a really good draft, the Jets. We may get to winners and losers overall, but I think they had a great round. Man, if they put Breece Hall on this offense with the 5th pick of the second round, that gets pretty scary pretty quickly, man. I like the Jets' work a lot, and therefore I like Garrett Wilson landing here. I do think he's my wide receiver 1.
I think Wilson stands to have the best fantasy finish among these rookie receivers. And that's probably why he is. It's probably what puts him at wide receiver 1 for me, but I'm not locked in on anything yet. But,
he's safe though, right? Like
very
safe.
Hard
very for safe. Me to imagine him being the 4th best of these 6 first round wide receivers. right?
Yeah.
Like maybe he's not the best, but like he's not going to be the 5th or 6th best, you know.
Yeah.
So moving on, Chris Olave. Will Garrett Wilson's Ohio State teammate, back-to-back picks here, 111. This is a trade up with the Saints. The Saints came up from 16, giving up, I think it was a 3rd round pick to come up 5 slots and get Olave. So, what did you think about this? They gave up a 3rd round pick and a 4th round pick, I should say, 98 and 120. So, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I love to see that move from a fantasy perspective when a team's willing to throw away some middle round picks, not throw them away, but commit them to get this guy. Like you gotta love that. It gives you so much confidence to draft this guy in your rookie draft. And Olave was typically a guy who was faded among these receivers pre-landing spots, so I think we'll see him tick up a bit. I think people are going to view the Saints as a plus landing spot for sure, but at cost with Chris Olave, 107, I don't know, in that range, I'm in on Olave for sure. Again, just like Wilson, should be safe, should do stuff year one, should get some volume year one.
Should start day one.
Yeah, absolutely that. Yes, should you Callaway, your Traquan, your who's the other guy?
Harris,
yeah, like pretty much.
All right, that's
pretty
all
much
gone.
dead, and I hate to say that, but they're all cooked. And I liked Callaway, but yeah, it's the Olave show now. What's this do for Jameis, you think?
So this is absolutely fabulous for Jameis. But let me take it back. Today is absolutely for Jameis, right? Like it's good. Like what happened today is, they took Chris Olave. They got him a tackle with their friend. And they take a quarterback, and they don't have a 1st round pick next year.
Yeah.
Right. So like, this is real. They don't have a lot of options to replace him for 2 years here, honestly, right? And so and he was one of the guys who easily could have gotten the replacement guy now. Now, their 2nd round, quarterback capital, and in fact, because they don't have a 1st round pick next year, if they were to go 2nd round Matt Corral, that might be worth more than most 2nd round quarterbacks to me.
Right.
Because they can't go back and replace him, right? So that's something to keep in the back of your mind. But this is fantastic news for Jameis Winston. They got him a weapon. They got him a protector. And they don't have a way to replace him, right? It looks like a commitment. And by the way, if Tampa has any kind of struggly season, this is a terrible division.
Yep.
So, right, I don't blame them for still thinking they can compete here and not wanting to be the best of 3 tanking and rebuilding teams in the same division. That's not a great place to be. So, yeah, you have to be in love with number 11 overall draft capital to a good team. I don't think this is bad for Michael Thomas. I think it's actually like really good when you think about it, for Thomas to be the 1 for the next 2 years and Olave to be the 2 for a year to 2 years. And then maybe there's even an easy glide path where Thomas becomes a big possession guy. And you can still play him as a wide receiver 3 on your fantasy team, or, even a wide receiver 4 in flexes for, 3-4 years down, who knows, right? So I think this is a good all-around spot for everybody. So then the run continues with the next pick, the 12th pick in the draft. Our 3rd consecutive wide receiver, our 4th wide receiver in 5 picks. Jameson Williams from Alabama, the 3rd consecutive player who was on Ohio State's 2020 team. Right. So he transferred to Alabama, but so it was Olave, Garrett Wilson, and Jameson Williams all on the field at the same time 2 years ago for Ohio State. So that's kind of crazy. Yeah, I don't like this, honestly. First of all, I don't like this for Detroit.
They gave up a
Gosh,
lot. The big trade they did.
that
Yeah.
seems mismanaging. They gave up 32, 34, and 66, which is the 302.
Yeah.
So they gave up like
They got another pick back. I don't know if you saw that.
they got they got like
they got the 46th back. So they got a middle second back.
They did.
Yeah, they actually go up twice because that 60 something, that late, that's like a third, goes up into the second, and then they give up a 2-for-1 to go up. They give up 32 and 34 to go up here.
Okay, yeah,
Maybe it evens it back out a little bit. It's still sketchy.
That's a lot, man.
Yeah, I agree.
That's a lot for a wide receiver, and he's gonna. And I don't love this landing spot because now you're like, okay, so they're not going to take a quarterback this year, so they're gonna take a wide receiver who's going to miss 6 games, right? So he's going to come back in the middle of the year with Jared Goff. They're going to be terrible. Then they're going to go draft a quarterback next year, I guess, and they're going to have right, and so then he's going to be maybe he gets Bryce Young, right?
Yeah.
And so you get that reunion thing, maybe, but like you can't be betting on that, right? So like maybe he doesn't, maybe right, maybe they maybe he's got another quarterback who they take who has a big ceiling, but there's also growing pains, and this all feels and then at that point, like how long does Dan Campbell's job stay secure?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
like
I agree.
This whole thing I don't like. This gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah, I think a maneuver like this Detroit trade and selection, they reiterate the talking points the fantasy community has been putting out for the last few years, or for the last 12 months, which is this class we're in right now at the quarterback position kind of blows, and we're seeing that. Only one QB went, and next year's class at quarterback is really good. And so when you see a move like this, Detroit is trading these later 2 first-round picks. So, Malik, Corral, Howell, Detroit is punting those. They don't want that, and they're saying we'll roll with Goff for another season. We'll get another weapon. We'll try to make a much better nest for whatever quarterback we tank our way into in 2023. This is not them saying we love Jared Goff. He's our starter. No, this is them saying we'll kick the can with Jared Goff into a guy we have much more confidence in next year.
But I really hate this landing spot for Jameson Williams. Right,
that's fair.
Kind of what I'm saying. Like because so this season's going to be a lost season for him, and then his next year's going to be a lost season because he's going to be on a rookie quarterback, and then like again, and if they're bad this year, and then they're bad next year, then is Dan Campbell going to be here the third year? So is it going to be his first 3 years are first of all he's in Detroit, right? And then it's going to be misses half the season and gets Jared Goff, then has a rookie quarterback, then has a new coach who didn't draft him. Man, he's down to my wide receiver 5 or 6 here. I really hate this landing spot.
That's fair. I'm a little more bullish because I think he can outplay Amon-Ra and become the number 1 target on this team. But
of course he can. I think he will.
Yeah. But with the contested targets on this team, what it presents in the passing game, there's not going to be enough footballs to go around. The best thing you could say is that their defense is terrible. So they're going to be losing. They're going to be throwing it around. I'm a little more bullish on his injury too. I think he'll hit the field maybe a little sooner than you're projecting, but it is hard because he's probably gonna miss the whole camp. So, doesn't really do a whole lot. But you talk about like that 112 2.1 corner. If I can get Jameson Williams in that corner there, yeah, I'd be pretty happy about that.
I don't think you're getting him though because because the quarterbacks aren't going to go.
Yeah, so it's not going to push him down. Yeah, you're right.
Nothing's going to push down because the quarterbacks didn't go.
Right.
That's all 6 of these first round wide receivers are going to go in the first 10 picks because only one quarterback will go in the first 10.
Yeah, interesting.
That's what I'm thinking, right? Your first 10 picks are 2 running backs, Pickett, and these 6 wide receivers.
6 receivers in a row, yeah.
And
in some order.
And then it wouldn't surprise me if we had a 3rd running back fall in a good spot.
Yeah.
And then that's it, right? Like, so these receivers are going to go, and all these receivers got good draft capital. They all got top 18.
So much good capital, yeah.
Right. So I think they're all going to run, but like of this run, he's my last. I think got to let that simmer, but a lot of things I dislike about this spot. Go ahead.
I feel it. I'm not gonna say it's a bust. I think there's some upside here. It might be slow. Definitely could be time you don't want to. It would be better invested somewhere else, perhaps. But I think Jameson Williams has real NFL chops to him in his career. Like I said, it might be a while. It might be a real long play, but I'm interested still at cost.
At cost, I just think.
Yeah.
I think the only question is what order are we having these guys in?
Yeah, and we'll find out.
All these other guys got stuff I like better than this. This is the one I like the least of all of these.
He's going to be very polarizing when you talk about the injury, his talent profile, and the landing spot, and how much Detroit traded to go get him. It's going to be very polarizing for Jameson. Sorry, we'll move on.
No, it is.
Jahan Dodson, Dodson was taken at the 115 spot. Is that where he went?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. Big surprise here to see him go ahead of Treylon to be the 5th receiver off the board. The Commanders take him after their trade down, so they clearly like him because they're willing to either wait and get him or say he's on par with these other receivers that will just take some juice and go down. I think Jahan Dodson.
I love it.
Yeah, I love it too. Yeah, he's going to be faded by the community pretty heavily. People don't seem to like Commanders players. You don't think so?
No, I think the draft capital is too much, and the quarterbacks didn't go.
Okay,
right?
Yeah.
Like, this is what we were saying is, and the quarterbacks didn't go. So, like, where's he going to go? Like, you can't fade any of these guys because the quarterbacks didn't get drafted. So there's no pivot. You just have to just line them all up and take them all.
I guess you're right. I guess what I'm saying, I think receivers who got lesser capital, like whoever the second round receivers we are about to see, like may jump ahead of Dodson on rookie draft boards. That's what I
second round guys over a guy who went 15th.
I think it will happen. I mean, I do agree, but like we see this every year where people get hot and they try to make hot takes and it forces value players down. Well, this is one of the value players I think will be forced down. Is someone like Dodson. I'll be happy to pick him up. I'll be happy to pick him up at a spot where he should go as well. I anticipate the community fading him more than they should or at all.
Yeah, I will get tons of him in the late first round. Listen, this is amazing draft capital.
Yeah.
Right. Wide receivers are going the top 15, have great profiles.
Yep.
I would take Jahan Dotson plus 3rd and 4th round picks over Chris Olave every day of the week. As a fantasy manager as a fantasy manager, I would take Jahan Dotson and a 2nd round pick next year over Olave for sure.
Yeah.
And as an NFL GM, I would take Jahan Dotson and 3rd and 4th round picks. Over Olave as well. I think like I had Olave ahead of him, but like Dotson profiles very similarly and is very safe. And like, what was the criticism of Olave is like maybe he lacks a little bit of ceiling for the top guys, but like that's the same thing. Like Jahan Dotson is very safe, maybe lacks a little bit of ceiling, runs great routes, has great hands, lacks a little bit of size, not super tough, doesn't get off press coverage the best. Like it's very Chris Olave to me. And so when you get the draft capital here, I don't think he should be going too far behind him. He's going to start from day one. He's got a competent enough NFL quarterback. And also the opportunity could get better because McLaurin is in this draft class with AJ Brown and Deebo Samuel and all of these guys who don't like their DK Metcalf, all these guys who are not happy with their contracts. McLaurin's about to be not happy with the contract, right? So potentially there's more increasing opportunity out there for Jahan Dotson. I don't love the quarterback situation, but it's fine when you look at the profile, the prospect profile, the draft capital, and the immediate opportunity. Like he's gonna produce, so people are gonna want him. So he's gonna have insulated trade value because he's gonna play, and he's polished. right? So young draft capital plays, puts up some stats. You can trade him if you want to. I think this is a real safe way to spend your capital.
Yeah, I think it is too. I wonder if the community by and large will see it the same way.
Great.
Yeah, it's great for us because we're going to be eating it up when they fade him.
Really great for Carson Wentz in your Superflex leagues.
Yeah. Yup. Yeah. What do you do with any of the other ancillary pass catchers on the Commanders
flush your Diami Brown and wait and see on Curtis Samuel.
Yeah, we need to get some sound effects. We make the flush noise.
Oh yeah,
goodbye.
Yeah, absolutely. Wah, wah. Sad trombone.
Yeah.
Sad trombone.
Later, Diami Brown. You were fun for a year in the taxi.
I've got him right. Like I've got some 2-year taxi spots where I'm going to keep him, and then I've got some 1-year taxi spots where he's now the guy who's getting cut for my rookie draft. So, Curtis Samuel, I'm going to try to hold on to, but he's been around for quite a number of years and has always been more sizzle than steak.
Injury
and had yeah, and so I'm willing to move on if I need to.
All right, number 18 pick off the draft board today was Treylon Burks. This was the pick the Eagles sent to the Titans. Tennessee picked up Burks. Burks is the 6th receiver to go in a 10-player stretch from 8 to 18, beginning with London. These guys are tight, man. And in your rookie drafts, across multiple leagues, I think you could see these 6 guys go in pretty much any order based on who feels what way about them. The capital's very tight. How do you feel about?
I'm never going to mind
Treylon?
Sliding down a little bit.
Yeah,
I'm never going to mind sliding down a little bit and getting a different guy. Like, I am the opposite of get your guy. I am if I can get the last guy and get a little juice on it, I'll take it. And if I can get a mix of these guys, I don't think I'm good enough at scouting this to where I want 18, where I want 6 Treylon Burks shares and no Chris Olave shares, right? I don't want to land like that. So I'm kind of happy taking all these guys and getting a distribution. They all got great draft capital. All of them except the one I've already mentioned. I really like the landing spot. I love this landing spot. They're just, hey, here you go. Be our number 1. There's nobody else.
Yeah, without AJ Brown there, it becomes much more enticing landing spot for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love this. We're going to ask you to replace AJ, but we know we traded the guy who does what you do, and then we traded it for the pick we spent on you. And it's just so obvious. This is my wide receiver 3 right about now. Yeah,
and if if I'm sitting there at the 104 spot and I could swap down to the 108 and pick up somebody's, I don't know, 23 second, would that move you think?
Yeah.
Maybe to the 7, maybe the 107, not the 8, but something like that.
We haven't. We haven't seen the running backs.
Yeah.
If both running backs are safe, then maybe I'm feeling that good with that. But yeah, I love that. I think the top 3 or 4 or 5 of next year's second round picks are going to feel like first round profiles. So I'm real into getting those 23 seconds. Anytime I can get 3 or 4 23 seconds on the same team, I'm real happy with that because I think that 23 second round is going to be juicy.
Sure.
Obviously, the first round juicier, but those are people want your left nut and your firstborn child for those, but they'll throw in 23 seconds.
Yeah.
To move a few spots, right? So, I love this landing spot. Wide receiver 3 for me now. There's so many vacated targets there. And the other thing is, we've had a conversation about the worries about Treylon Burks. Like Drake London, I feel like a lot of my worries about him were answered with this landing spot. He got the draft capital you wanted, and he's going to a landing spot where they're just going to ask him to take the top off the defense while they hammer you with King Henry all day, and he's going to make big plays, and Tannehill's going to throw go routes, and that's what AJ Brown did. this is really pretty great. It's a terrible day for Ryan Tannehill. Pretty great day for Robert Woods. Like, there's a certain kind of target that Robert Woods is now the best option for, right?
Yeah.
What do you think about Nick Westbrook Akine? I know he was a guy for you, and like you were pounding the table for him a little bit.
Yeah.
As a deep sleeper way earlier, and I listened to you. I picked up a couple of shares in some spots. Just I was thinking, lots of different kind of trashy pieces, and here's one Tony believes in, right? So I'll go there that way. And right. There's certainly an opportunity for him to pick up certain kinds of targets, right?
Yeah, I mean, instead of a 24th round pick, maybe he's a 19th round pick. Something like that. It's arrows up, but no major hopes for him. I mean, I find that when it comes to those deep guys in the sub 20 rounds of your league, that's the get your guys area. Where like league over league, I'm gonna have like those same 10, maybe not 10, but like there's like 4 to 6 dudes that I'm gonna get in that range in pretty much every startup I do. And
I know what you mean. I have so many Tutu Atwell shares.
Sure, yeah. Van Jefferson, you put me on him, and now he's starting to move up to where he's like a real pick. Yeah.
Right. Like, I mean, yeah. So anyway, but I think there's obviously a chance that Treylon Burks is a little bit of a slow starter, right? I feel good about him long term, but he's a little bit raw, right? So there seems to me like there's a chance that Westbrook Akine and Robert Woods are the starters out the gate, which that to me is something that wasn't on the table when AJ Brown was there so much.
Yeah.
So I like that to me is appealing for him again. Like, how cheap is he out there if he's like free on your waivers? Like, go have a dart.
Yeah. It says he's only owned in 40% of leagues on Sleeper. Westbrook Akina.
Go throw a dart.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about a guy. His snap share ticked up real nicely at the end of the season. I mean, no one thinks Robert Woods can stay healthy. They're probably going to draft a tight end, but they only brought in Austin Hooper, which is like nothing special really. So there's a chance for Westbrook. He's worth a spot in your taxi or something. You can't really taxi him anymore because he's a third-year player now. But put him on your watch list.
There's some trash at the back of some of your rosters in leagues where he's available, right? Yep. So, I don't remember exactly who we were talking about a few people back, but there are some guys who have maybe
Curtis Samuel.
moved up.
Yeah.
Some guys who have maybe moved up a little bit. Worth thinking about. Devin Duvernay, right? Like, if he's on waivers for you right now, go get him tonight and see see if they don't take anybody tomorrow at that spot. I don't know.
That's plenty of time on Westbrook Akina. All right, we're finally to it. The big name of the night, Kenny Pickett, the quarterback. He goes number 20 overall to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh didn't move up. They sat tight. They got the quarterback. They got their choice of QBs. They wanted Pickett all along. All the Malik stuff was smoke. I like it. I like it for Pittsburgh. I was going to be in on whatever quarterback Pittsburgh drafted. And it's Pickett. So, yeah, I know it's boring. Probably people aren't very happy about it. But, my big question with Pickett is this guy coming through the door day one, and is he a better quarterback? Is he a better football player than Mitch Trubisky?
I think he is.
Okay.
I think they will say this is a competition, and I think he's going to be close. So I think they're going to say this is a totally even, flat-footed competition. This is what Mike Tomlin will tell the media. This
and
is what he will tell the people.
Too. Yeah.
This is a totally flat-footed competition, right? But here's the real truth: is if it's close between Pickett and anyone, it's Pickett. And if Pickett looks like not a disaster, that's probably Pickett. Like if he looks like not a disaster from week 1, right? So the truth is, it's not really a flat-footed competition. That's what I believe, regardless of what they tell you, and I will continue to believe that if it's close, it will be Kenny Pickett. So I do believe Mitch Trubisky will start the 3rd preseason game, that kind of thing. But I don't necessarily think he's going to start the 1st game, and I really don't think he's going to start the 7th game. So I'm very high on Kenny Pickett now. How high? Is number 3 in play? It's hard for me to have him lower than 6 right now.
Are you taking Garrett Wilson or Kenny Pickett at the 103 in your rookie draft, assuming
Hall
and Walker go 1 and 2? Yeah, neither do I, right? It's too early. I don't know either. But I think that's a question you at home, if you're listening, need to be asking yourself. What are you doing?
I think
are you taking this guy or your number 1 receiver? That's what's hot right now.
So, okay. So assume Hall and Walker go 1 and 2, right? And then assume you line up those 6 receivers. And then the question is, where does Pickett go from? There's 8 slots, right? You line up your 6 receivers in order, and the slots for Kenny Pickett are before the 1st receiver, and then between 1 and 2, 2 and 3, yada yada yada, or after the last one.
Yep.
So there's 7 spots there, right? So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, or no, what is it? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? For me, I think right now he's probably sliding in after Wilson, London, Burks, and then ahead of Olave, Dodson, Williams. I think obviously we're 2 days out. We got to look at the running backs. CJ Spiller could get in there if he gets second. I've heard rumors that he is rising. If he gets 2nd round draft capital to a starting spot, he's going to get into that range too.
Yeah.
But to me, right now, those are the top 9, and I would have Pickett splitting the middle of those 6 receivers.
Isaiah Spiller. You called. You were doing a callback with CJ. Blast from the past.
Oh,
it's okay
Isaiah
though.
Spiller.
That's fine. You're fine.
I've done that 50 times this season.
Sure.
I want it to be CJ Spiller. It's Isaiah Spiller. Yeah.
It seems like a team-dependent thing, a team-by-team thing, league-by-league, where, if I need a quarterback, I'm going to take Pickett over those guys. If I feel like, hey, I've got 3 or 4 solid QBs, just give me one of the receivers, and, it feels like a weird spot to be in because you want to take the value, but you're talking about a quarterback who was a second-half pick, so it's like, and you already know before he landed his upside's a little limited. So what are we doing? If I feel like I'm a competitive team and I have competent solid
it's not amazing value.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I would rather have him than JMO. I think so. Dodson, Burks,
Olave.
It's all he's right in there, and it's got to be team by team.
I have him right between Burks and Olave, right after Burks and ahead of Olave right now in a vacuum, not knowing my team. I like the ceiling with Burks with everything that happened in the landing spot, and then Olave, I like the landing spot a little bit less, but I like the player, and the ceiling on the player is a little bit lower, but they're all very close. I think Kenny Pickett's right in there.
Yep.
I think this is fine for your Deontay Johnson.
Yeah.
Your Pace Claypool. But listen, the worst that happens is it's just the Mr. Trubisky we're going to get anyway.
It's true. That's the floor, is Mr. Trubisky.
The floor is just the same guy, and the ceiling is he's better. And I think I think he's going to be better. I don't think he's going to be a ton better, but I think he's going to be better. A little bit more dynamic as a passer, right? I think he's not immobile, but he's got a little bit of gunslinger too, right? Where he may not have the arm to always pull it off, but he wants to sling it around, and he wants to throw a lot of touchdown passes. I don't know if he's ever gonna, but a quarterback with that attitude is good for your receivers.
That's funny. Yeah.
So yeah, I think this is all around very nice for Kenny Pickett, very nice for the receivers, very nice for everybody who isn't Mitch Trubisky. I'm in. He's one of the winners from tonight for me.
Yep, and that's going to transition easily into what our last talking point is. We're going to talk about the stuff that didn't happen. So, Malik Willis didn't get drafted in the first round. The Steelers took Pickett over him, and that's feels bad, man, for Malik. And it wasn't this Lamar Jackson situation where someone jumped up in there in the late first and wanted Malik so bad to put a fifth-year option on him. That didn't happen here. So Malik's in free fall right now, and we'll have to see what happens in the second round for him. It's the first 5 picks of the second round: Tampa, Minnesota, Tennessee, New York Giants, Houston Texans.
Those are 5 great picks for a developmental quarterback, right? So Tampa is a shrewd team. Tampa has I believe Tom Brady just turned 40-12 last week.
Yeah.
I mean, right? Like, and he tried to force his way out. Like, he either seriously retired and unretired or tried to force his way out. So, like, they have to be thinking replacement, right? Or succession, right? Minnesota, maybe the least of these spots, but can't be in love with Kirk Cousins, right? Tennessee has a guy for this year, so it's fine that if Malik Willis is not ready, Tennessee can get out of Ryan Tannehill with no dead money next year, and they're unlikely to have high picks next year because they
should be pretty good. Yeah,
we're a 1 seed this year, right?
Yeah.
So if there's a lot that makes sense about Malik Willis to Tennessee. Although honestly, I kind of think Desmond Ridder makes a lot of sense to Tennessee too. Ryan Tannehill's kind of a comp for me for Ridder, so that could be like the Burks thing we talked about, where you just swap out for the same guy but on a rookie deal.
Whoa, you broke up there real weird. Sorry while you're doing that.
The Giants just today turned down their 5th-year option on Daniel Jones.
Yep. So
that's obviously a great landing spot for Malik Willis if they want to go that route. And then the Houston Texans surely could bring in a guy to push Davis Mills, who happens to fall in their lap, and just like whoever's better of you two, right? Like what, right? And if neither of you works out, we've got 2 first-round picks next year. And if we accidentally tanked for CJ Stroud by drafting Malik Willis and then he wins the job and you give it a shot, fine. So if he gets through those 5 spots, none of those teams want him, and nobody sits there staring at him for 30 hours, or no, not 30 hours, 20 hours, staring at him on the board and decides we got to go get him. That to me is like a second red flag. It's already a red flag that he got this far. If he gets out of that set of 5, that's a second red flag for me, where I'm like, really starting to fade the plan.
Yeah, I agree with you.
But I still think that Jalen Hurts comp has to be in the back of your mind, right? That's a late second round pick who worked out very nicely if you took him in the second round of your rookie draft. But this is a guy who was going to be 101. How high could you take Malik Willis? If he went, let's just say the Giants took him at pick 36 here, right? Let's say Tennessee took him at pick 35, knowing what I told you about the Tannehill contract. How high could you draft him?
It's just so weird getting him in there with like a real, like a quarterback who's been in the QB for a while. How high would I take Malik if he gets early second round capital to one of these teams? Would you want him ahead of Pickett? That's the first question. No. I mean, no. I mean, yeah, right? No.
No.
You can't say you know more about football than the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yeah.
Oh. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Well, it's not football. They don't care about fantasy football.
Sure.
That's a different question. It's just, but no, like you don't. he's not playing around with that. Like he could start no games this year, and then the team is bad, and they just draft a guy next year, right? Mm-hmm. Like that's like if he could go to the Giants and lose the job to Daniel Jones, and then maybe he gets on the field, week 10 next year because they're terrible, but then he gets like those 7 starts at the end of the year, and then they're drafting CJ Stroud and he's gone.
If anybody really wanted him, they would have traded up into the late first.
You cannot. No.
No one did that. So like, it's no one has any. Not a single NFL team has extreme confidence in Malik Willis. No one who would have been invested in him, because if they did,
nobody has enough confidence to pass on next year's class. Anybody who drafts him, if they are without a quarterback at the end of this season, and have the capital to do it, they will take somebody next year.
I'd be interested, like in that 9, 10, 11 area. Like
203.
You think? Okay, just all the receivers.
I'm out.
Okay,
I'm all the way out. 203. Not even playing.
I'm looking at Seattle at 40 and 41. If he goes there, okay, I have to believe he's going to beat out Drew Lock.
That's that 41 is Drew Lock, the pick.
That's
Drew
where.
Lock,
oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
So like that is the level of red flagginess I see if he gets out of this 30, 37 range.
Yeah.
30, if he gets past that, I'm like, if he gets all the way to 40, if he gets all the way to 40, that means not only does that mean all those teams didn't want him, it also means, for example, that Indy, who's sitting, I think, 42, doesn't want to trade up to 38. How expensive could that be?
Yeah.
Right? That means Indy doesn't want to jump Seattle for him. Right? It means, right? So that starts to, that's so many red flags for me. When the league is so crazy for quarterbacks that when they tell you this guy isn't it, I get real sketch.
Yeah, I look at I don't know. There's some spots he can go in the second round, but he could also just keep plummeting. It's scary. If another QB went ahead of him, someone takes a Ritter over him, that'd be weird. Yeah, but
I think that could easily happen.
I think so too, and it would just make things even more awkward. Yeah. But another thing that didn't happen was Debo wasn't traded during the first round. A lot of people were projecting that. Where do you stand with Debo? What do you think's the future with him?
I am very afraid.
Yeah.
I am very afraid that we are now past the point where San Francisco can get enough to trade him.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yes.
And this, right, so now we're at the point where either they give in and pay him, or he gives in and plays on the rookie deal, or he holds out. That's it, right? That because he gets traded, gets paid, and they replace him in the draft is now off the table.
Yeah, I think that might be a theme for the season upcoming is holdouts. We've talked about Kyler. He may hold out. Debo may be holding out. Baker, if he doesn't get traded, he said he's not reporting to the Browns. That's what he said. We'll see how that goes for him.
Wait, who's?
Isn't Baker in a holdout mode? Baker Mayfield?
No, but Baker's not going to hold out. He can say whatever he's going to say. He's going to show up the very first day.
You think so?
No. He's going to make them tell him to go away and pay him.
I hope so. He's just so
they can't keep him there. I'm sorry. If I were Baker Mayfield, I would show up at the facility and I would show up at the facility, get my $18 million worth of paychecks, and pass out sexual assault awareness brochures all day. I swear to God, I would make myself. It would be so easy for Baker Mayfield to make it impossible for them to keep him there, so that they would have to tell him to, you stay home and we'll pay you.
Yeah,
he's not going to. Listen, if they get to just not pay him, they're going to be happy. He's not going to make them happy.
Yeah,
that's them winning.
I agree.
Getting out of his money. He's not. He's mad. I get it. He's going to show up and make them make the move because of $18 million.
Yeah, hopefully he's moved in the next day or two. But I don't know. I think there could be a few holdouts around the league.
Samuel,
yeah,
there could be. Debo Samuel is the one. That's really scary to me. Like everybody, AJ Brown just got paid. I don't.
Metcalf's doing it.
Hollywood
He's there.
Brown,
He's good to go. Yeah.
Metcalf's gonna get paid. Hollywood. I don't know if so. He was a first round pick, so his contract is
they just picked up his 5th-year option, and
they picked up his 5th-year option, and the trade they made for him probably means he gets an extension on that, right?
McLaurin's the interesting one.
But like Debo is the big name from that class who looks like whose team is saying we're not paying you, and he's saying I'm holding out then, and so where does that go, right? Like we saw what like Devontae Adams forced his way out. Tyreek Hill forced his way out. That tells you that the teams really believe that these guys will hold out. And you were saying, I do think it will hold out, or would at least be willing to consider it. And I don't think they're going to pay him. I wouldn't pay him.
Debo? Yeah,
no.
It's hard, man. You can't pay these guys as they go into their 4th year when you have a 5th-year option. Debo doesn't have a 5th-year option attached to him, but like, I don't know. Especially when you always have the option to tag these players, the team does, and
Brandon Ayuk has a 5th-year option, right? And they run the football a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Yeah, exactly, right? You say no. You have to play your 4th year with us, and then we'll tag you, and then 2 years from now you can go test the free agent market when you're 29. He obviously doesn't like that.
I agree. You're seeing the players lash out against the rookie scale. I mean, we're about 10 years deep into this mandatory 4 or 5 year contract that rookies get placed on them, and I think the players are starting to get wise to it. Have gotten wise to it. Like, hey, this sucks for us. The fact that they could just hold our rights down and then franchise tag us, and during the most valuable portions of our careers, our 25 to 27-year-old life. We're never going to see the open market. I mean, maybe right at the end, maybe. So the players are not happy. They're trying to exact some more leverage back on teams. It's getting ugly out there. Player empowerment.
I think part of what's happened is the teams have gotten shrewder about using them, right? Like it's like you said, it's been about 10 years of this structure with the rookie contracts, but like for the first 5 of those years, people were still like paying running backs willy-nilly whenever they were good.
Yeah.
And like teams have wisened up now. And then at first it was running backs and now it's wide receivers. And like it's going to be other things soon too, right? And like all of a sudden as the teams are more efficiently milking those 4-year contracts and the franchise tags and the leverage, the players are pushing back more.
Yep.
You're right. The players feel more squeezed. I do think it's all coming to a head, and I do think Debo is one of the big ones that's going to be a really big prop. Kyler Murray obviously being the other.
And we're so far away from a CBA. It's every 10 years they do it. 2030 is the next CBA where they could really, attack this and restructure. The players could really show up and say, this is a main point. We want our rookies scale restructured. It's interesting, man. I don't know what's going on with it. Cap space is becoming more and more valuable thing in the NFL. Like having cap space is more valuable right now than it's ever been in the past before. It's more valuable, and players are demanding more more money than they have before. So it's really grinding on itself in that way. Yeah,
absolutely.
All right, we're pretty deep in this thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So let me run down a couple of things here.
Yeah. Hit it.
The dog that didn't bark here. Here's a list of guys I went through who I think dodged a bullet tonight. These are dynasty guys whose value, in my mind, has gone up today, because they were prime candidates to get a first-round wide receiver and did not. Mike Williams, Juju, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Sammy Watkins and Alan Lazard, Gabe Davis. When my heart dropped for a second when Buffalo traded up, and then it was a corner, and I was very happy.
I feel that.
Sam Darnold, Drew Lock, and Geno Smith. Right, like the odds that Sam Darnold is a starting quarterback this year and can be your quarterback 3 in a Superflex, went way up today.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and the same thing with Drew Lock and Geno Smith. Now they could also get competition tomorrow, or Lock and Smith could get competition tomorrow. Sam Darnold, Carolina doesn't have a pick tomorrow.
So it's looking pretty safe for Darnold then. I mean, they're not going to want to ruin any of their players. So.
A whole bunch of guys, right? Like I actually have Tommy Tremble's been a guy in all my 2 tight end leagues I've been going out and getting and Terrace Marshall. And like a big part of it was they're not going to take any of those positions at 6. They might take quarterback, obviously, but they didn't. But they weren't going to take a wide receiver at 6. They weren't going to take a tight end at 6. They don't have any day 2 draft capital, right? So those guys were sneaky locked in. So I like that. I was kind of surprised not to see Sky Moore and Christian Watson go off the board. I thought 6 going in the top 18 would drag those guys into the first round.
Yeah, Watson's going to go pretty early, I would imagine. Both those 2 guys should go pretty early here as we get into day 2.
But I was a little surprised that you didn't see one of them to Green Bay at 28 or something like that.
You mentioned Juju. I just want to touch on him. Like I've been scooping him up a bunch lately, like the 8th round. And Kansas City not taking a receiver.
Yep.
I feel good about Juju.
Yep.
Digging my Juju shares right now. Feeling good about that.
I do have 2 picks in the second round.
Yeah.
But like they're
probably take a receiver, but it's not what it could have been. You know.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not what it could have been. Right. Absolutely. Yeah, so let's see. We talked about Baker moving tomorrow. I think, nobody was going to give a first round pick for Baker. So he wasn't a guy who you would have expected to go on day 1 the way, AJ Brown, Hollywood Brown, and then Deebo Samuel. Now that he didn't go on day 1, he probably can't move because he's worth too much.
Yeah.
Baker, day 2 could be a spot for a Baker move. Somebody could give up probably they're giving up a day 3 pick, but the point is like somebody could maybe see if Malik Willis falls to them, and then if not,
the quarterback landscape has to mean good things for Baker, right?
Baker, right? I don't know. Maybe Seattle at 40-41.
Yeah,
Carolina, or he goes to Seattle or Arizona in the event. But yes, like the fact that these guys didn't go has to be good for Baker. Yes, although he does have some landmines to dodge tomorrow, right? Like one thing that could happen tomorrow is that if all of these guys are falling, like maybe the Cardinals take Desmond Ridder in the second round just in case, right? And all of a sudden, that's not a landing spot for Baker.
That would be interesting. I'd feel so vindicated if that happened. But,
yeah.
We're in there, man. We're running pretty long. Is there anything else you want to leave our avid listener with?
Jets did great, man. I just want to say I cannot let tonight close without saying how much I hate the work the Saints have done over the last month.
Yeah.
Like I didn't mind that landing spot for Chris Olave as a dynasty person, but like, so they traded next year's first round pick to get an extra first round pick this year, but they if you look at the other pieces that moved in that deal, they gave up. It wasn't like they just traded next year's first round pick for this year's one. They gave up other pieces, right? And then they turned around and took that pick and gave up a 3rd and 4th on top of that to get Chris Olave. When you net it all out, they spent like next year's first round pick, next year's 3rd and 5th round picks, and this year's 3rd and 4th round picks on Chris Olave, and they could have just sat there and had Treylon Burks.
Yep. And it's, and they're full steam ahead with Jameis, which is probably not a recommended place to be.
I am baffled. I would be beside myself if I was a Saints fan. The Jets managed to get 3 of the 12 best players in the draft.
Yeah, that's Jermaine Johnson. I kept seeing him mocked a lot higher, and they jumped up there and picked him in the late first there.
I had him as a potential guy as high as 9. Right? Yeah, absolutely. That was and then not only did they jump back in, I don't know if you noticed this, they used one of their high seconds and some lower stuff to move back in. They still have a pick in the first 6 picks tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right. So like they're just absolutely loaded. I thought they did an amazing job.
The team needs a lot of help, so they're getting it.
Any other thoughts?
Stoked for tomorrow. Thanks for listening, guys. Appreciate everyone out there in YouTube land, and let's do it, baby. Let's get into it tomorrow. Much more exciting things to come.
All right. Look forward to chopping it up with you tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll
Have a
cut
good night,
another one of
Tony.
these tomorrow night. Yeah, have a good night, Greg. Have a good night, viewers. Hit the like.
Have a good night, viewers.
Hit the sub. Become a first-round pick. You saw 32 of them go today. You could be the 33rd. Hit the sub button. Peace. We out of here.